You're listening to Your Calm Parenting Path. I'm your host, Nina, a mindful parenting coach and mum, here to help you go from overwhelmed and reactive to calm, confident, and connected with your kids. This show is for parents who want to raise their children with more patience, less stress, and a whole lot more joy. Because small shifts make a big impact, and you can build the parenting life you've always wanted. If you want to see what I'm up to, follow me on Instagram at Mindful Parenting Lifestyle, and don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to Your Calm Parenting Path. Today's episode feels a little vulnerable because I want to talk about something I've noticed recently. And that is that I haven't been as calm as I was towards the middle of last year. And instead of pretending that I've got it all together, I want to share what's really been happening. Because if you're in a season where you feel like you're slipping, you're not alone. And this is what it looks like to gently come back. Over the school holidays, something shifted. The lazy mornings, the boys climbing into my bed, the later nights, the feeling of we're on holidays, it's fine. And slowly, without me noticing at first, my regular mindfulness practice slipped away. I wasn't doing my morning practice. I wasn't sitting at night. I was tired after big days. I told myself I'll do it tomorrow. Now, I still had mindful moments during the day, so I still took moments to pause. I took my breaths. I reminded myself that this isn't an emergency, but the consistency, the deeper regulation, the daily anchoring practice, it wasn't there. And I've really started to notice the difference. So I've noticed that I've been more frustrated. I'm snappier. I'm less patient in those sibling arguments that seem to go forever. I'm more reactive when the noise gets loud or if my son keeps banging stuff. I'm more likely to jump in quickly instead of pausing. I'm not wildly out of control, not yelling constantly, but definitely not the grounded, kind of spacious version of myself that I was last year. And here's the important part. This isn't because mindful parenting doesn't work. It's just because I stopped doing the foundational thing that supports it. When I sat with it honestly, there are a few things contributing. So my work has grown. Some beautiful opportunities have come my way, opportunities that I am so grateful for. But with growth comes more responsibility, more thinking, more holding space, more output. I've also started running again and watched this space for my half marathon in October. I love running. It makes me feel strong and clear-headed, but it also means I'm more physically tired. I have to wake up earlier. My muscles are sore and my body's working harder. And then there's just the fact that my boys are getting older. They're busier, louder, more opinionated, more complex. Their problems aren't toddler tantrums anymore. They're emotional negotiations. We have big reactions, big personalities, and all of that requires capacity. So when my practice slips and my capacity is stretched, it makes sense that my calm feels thinner. This isn't failure. It's just feedback. Now, I used to think being a calm mum meant staying regulated no matter what, never snapping, never losing patience, always responding perfectly. But calm isn't a personality trait, it's a practice, and practices need tending. The moment we stop tending to them, life slowly takes over, not dramatically, just gradually. And that is exactly what I've experienced. So here's what I'm doing, not in a dramatic new year, new me way, just gently, and I'm putting it out here in podcast world for accountability. Firstly, morning anchor. I'm not going to go back to 20 minutes. I'm just committing to 5 minutes every morning of meditation. Before I look at my phone, before the boys fully wake up, even if they're in my bed, even if it's imperfect, I think that 5 minutes is enough to reconnect. I'm going to start an evening reset. So this isn't a full meditation. It's just taking deep breaths and having a reflection of 10 things that I'm grateful for today. I have a beautiful journal that I can write in, And I like to think about moments that made me smile. It really helps shift my nervous system before I go to sleep. The third thing I'm going to focus on is having a running and rest balance. If I run, I'm not going to push myself to be ultra productive that day. That's not going to be the day that I sort out the boys' toy room. I acknowledge that I'll be more tired. I'll go to bed earlier and I'll work with my body instead of against it. And the final thing I'm going to do is include more micro pauses throughout the day. Putting my hand on my heart, taking a long breath out if I need to, or stepping into another room just for 60 seconds. And this isn't because I'm failing, I just need to recalibrate. So I've been pondering this for about a week or so. And now that I've noticed it, I wanted to give you an example of how I handled a tricky moment recently. So the other day, the noise was escalating. The boys were arguing. I think they were playing Nintendo. What a surprise. And I felt that familiar surge, the tightening in my chest, the heat rising. Instead of snapping straight away, I just said to myself, I need 30 seconds. I walked into the laundry and I breathed. I let my shoulders drop. I reminded myself they're not attacking me. They're just having a hard moment. And then I went back to the lounge room. Look, it wasn't perfect. I was still firm. I still told them they had to sit down instead of standing in front of the TV. And I was still tired, but it was better. It was better than what I had been doing. And sometimes better is enough. And here's what matters. That moment didn't happen because I'm a magically calm person. It happened because I've built the foundations before. Even when the practice slips, the wiring is still there. The foundation is everything. So what I want you to hear, if your mindfulness practice has slipped, if you have one, if you've been more reactive lately, if you're thinking, I was doing so well and now I'm not, you're not broken, you're human. Life changes, capacity shifts, seasons get fuller. The work isn't about never slipping, it's just about noticing sooner, returning sooner, being kinder in the process. Calm isn't something we achieve once. It's something we come back to again and again and again. And that returning, that is the practice. If you're listening to this thinking, I know this makes sense, but I can't seem to stick with it on my own, I want to gently say something important. Knowing what to do is not the same as being able to do it consistently. I've just shown you that. Most mums I know with already know they should pause. They know breathing helps. They know yelling doesn't work. But they're tired. They're stressed. They're stretched. They carry so much mental load. And trying to rebuild regulation alone is hard. That is exactly why I offer one-on-one coaching. Not because you're failing, but because change happens faster, deeper, and more sustainably when you're supported. In one-on-one coaching, we look at your specific triggers, the moments you lose it, the patterns playing out in your home, the stress sitting underneath it all. And we build simple, realistic regulation practices around your actual life, not an ideal version of motherhood, your mornings, your evenings, your nervous system, your kids. You don't have to wait until you're yelling every day and you don't have to hit hot bottom. If this episode felt uncomfortably familiar, that might be your sign. You can book in a free 30-minute clarity call with me. We'll talk about what's happening for you and we'll see if coaching feels like the right next step. You don't have to do this alone and you don't have to figure it out perfectly before asking for support. Sometimes coming back to calm isn't about trying harder. It's about being held while you rebuild. We begin again, always. So before we wrap up today, I just want to say this. If you're listening to this episode while folding, washing, or driving to school pickup, or hiding in the pantry for 5 minutes of quiet, you're doing a really good job. Even when you're tired, even when you snap, even when your practice slips. The fact that you care enough to reflect, to listen to something like this, tells me so much about the kind of parent you are. Calm isn't about perfection. It's about coming back. And you're here, which means you're already coming back. I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for listening to Your Calm Parenting Path. I am so glad you're here, and I hope this episode gave you something useful to take into your parenting journey. If you'd like to dive deeper, sign up to my mailing list at mindfulparentinglifestyle.com.au for more tips and insights, or book a free chat to learn how we can work together. And don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. I look forward to speaking with you next time on Your Calm Parenting Path.